Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, yeah. So, how was your day today? Did you get to train?
Yep. I trained early this morning. I'm an early bird. I trained at like 4 o'clock and I finished at around 6 because I'm
Fo-
crazy.
For like 4 a.m.?
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
mean, I
goodness.
don't always get there that early, but eh, it's anywhere between 4 and 5. I usually try to get to the gym.
Why so early?
Um, I I just wake up. I don't know. I kind of after my last prep because my cardio was so high, I had to get up early to get it all in.
Hmm.
But now it's just kind of become habit.
Become routine.
Yeah.
When do you go to bed usually?
Oh, like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
Okay. So you, yeah. So you have plenty of time to sleep. It's not like you're going to bed at like
Yeah.
2
No,
and
I definitely get good sleep. So
yeah, yeah. There was times in the past where I would like go to bed super late and then try to wake up early to go train, and it was a disaster. So I'm like,
yeah,
no, I got to do one or the other. Either I got to go to bed early and train early, or I have to like somehow I have to get my sleep. It's
yeah,
impossible.
exactly. Because yeah, like there obviously are nights when I don't get the best sleep, and
Yeah.
the workout is kind of crap. So
Hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people deal with that, especially if you don't get a good sleep. It's so hard to, put in a good training session. It's just something just hard to drive you. Do you have a lot of people that are there when you train that early, or just you?
no, there's, you know what? Lately, there seems to be more people. I don't know if there's still people from like the new year that are still trying to
Probably,
stick
yeah.
with it. But over the summertime, when I was training for my show, I usually was by myself, maybe like one person or two people tops. But now it's a little more crowded.
Yeah. What show did you do during the summer?
I did Universe
Okay.
Nationals.
Okay.
It was July 4th weekend.
How was your experience in that show?
It was good. I placed fourth for my
Oh,
class, so
that's good.
yeah, I was very happy about that. I had planned to try to continue competing for another two national shows, but it just didn't work out.
Mhm.
I think I just was kind of burnt out with everything, and I struggled with um, the diet aspect of it. It's always kind of been a struggle with for me. I'm working on it even as of now,
Mhm.
but I had issues with binging. So
Mhm.
after the show, I couldn't like reel it in, and I felt like there's really no reason to hop into another show until I kind of get a grip on this. So I haven't went into my off season, and I'm looking to do a run for the national shows this summer. So
Oh.
that's the
Yeah,
plan.
yeah. Well, so I'm kind of interested in this topic that you said that you tend to binge. Is it binging after the show because you've been so depleted and you have a hard time stopping, or like what's going on there?
Yeah, the problem with me is I've only been competing. This is we're going on my third year.
Hmm.
I never was really good at doing the reverse. After the show, I just kind of would get carried away with the
Yeah.
food part. I wouldn't stick to the meal plans that I'm supposed to. I mean, you're supposed to gradually add food back in, and I wasn't
Right.
doing a very good job of
You're,
that. So I think as a result, that's like another topic. I'm
yeah.
kind of hopping everywhere here, but I think
That's
as
okay.
a result from the binging episodes, there's probably other things, but I did come down with SIBO.
Hmm.
It's intestinal bacteria overgrowth
Hmm.
after this past show, so I went through a whole protocol to clear that up, and I'm good now, thank God everything's gone, and now I'm just shooting to compete in, I'm hoping maybe May or June. We're going to see how I do, like where I'm at, but that was just an ordeal to try to get through. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to compete, but I was
That
able.
that that's wild. So just to kind of like just to cover that first
Yeah.
question that I had, so do you like usually have like so let's say you're bit right, you're done with the show, you're
Mhm.
binging, you can't reel it in immediately or slowly start adding food back in. Is there a certain point where then you do start reeling it back in, or like do you do it for a few weeks? Do you like what how like how's that process go for you?
The problem with I would have is whenever I get like the a free an off meal,
Hmm.
especially like after the show, I would just go overboard and I continue eating after my off meal.
Hmm.
And then
Gotcha.
it would roll into the next day. I wouldn't stay on plan. Like I'd start the day off eating my what I'm supposed to, but then I'd end up overdoing it, like adding something I shouldn't be, and then keep
Hmm.
going. It just kind of spiraled. So, I've really had to kind of take a step back and reevaluate how I view food and my relationship with food. And it's been a process, but I've gotten way better than I was
Hmm.
a few months ago. I
Was
think the SIBO thing was a big wake up call that, if anything, it's like it's not healthy. It's
yeah.
something I had to address.
What signs did you notice that at this like when you started to feel like maybe you had SIBO? I'm not even sure if you knew that's what you were having, but like what symptoms are you experiencing?
I knew something was wrong. I think it might have even been wrong during the end of my prep, but I had a lot of bloating going on that I didn't understand. Like by the end of the day, I looked pregnant. My stomach was
Mhm.
completely extended. And even the next morning, it still wouldn't be flat. And I'd have this feeling after I eat of just felt very full. I don't. It's
Mhm.
kind of hard to explain, and it's just a lot of stomach issues. So I took one of those breath tests, and it came back pretty high positive.
Mhm.
So from there, I worked with my coach, who I have now, and he put me through a whole protocol with supplements and a pretty restrictive meal plan. It's the whole low FODMAP diet,
Mhm.
and I did that for about, I would say, 2 months. Like he was amazing getting me through the whole thing, and it was cleared up because I know a lot of people. I mean, they take 6 months to a year, maybe even longer, and are still trying to get rid of it. So I got lucky.
What did he have you eating that helped clear it up?
It's pretty much basically all whole foods.
Hmm.
Um, it's very detailed.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I'm just trying to think.
Was it like high fiber foods? Was it like was there more meats, more vegetables? Like what do you
It's
remember any of that?
pretty basic. It was
Hmm.
mostly just meats, vegetables, potatoes,
Got it. Got it.
rice, a little bit of rice. Didn't do too much of that. Um,
Hmm.
that's about it. You couldn't really do any sugar. Obviously, no artificials. It just had to be pretty plain for a while. It was
What
tough.
Yeah, what was bloating the only thing that you had? The reason I'm asking is because I'm looking up at some of the symptoms of it, and with some of the common symptoms is they're saying loss of appetite, abdominal pain, nausea, bloating, which you said you had, and just feeling fullness, which you said you had, like diarrhea, unintentional weight loss. So, like, was there anything else that you were experiencing? Because I'm just curious if there's people that might be dealing with this and don't even understand what's happening, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is like TMI, but yeah, had bloating, constipation, stomach cramping.
Yeah.
Uh, it just my digestion. I just knew it just things weren't moving the way they were supposed to be,
Hmm.
basically,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it was extremely uncomfortable. And I don't. I feel bad for anybody who has to deal with it.
Was it over like an overnight type of thing where you just want like one day you woke up and you started feeling that way, or did it progressively get worse?
I feel like I've had digestion issues for pretty long time, even before I started competing, but it wasn't anything that I just thought that was just the way my body was and how I digested food.
Yeah.
But I think it got progressively worse from doing preps and like, doing
Mhm.
going through the diets and cutting food and adding food back and all of that. And I think it kind of just took a toll and for the worse, and the symptoms got much worse.
So when did you start, being competitive? Um, was that something that you've always wanted to do, or is this something in your life caused you to decide to compete?
I have always been a pretty competitive person. When I was in high school and college, I ran track. I did high jump in the 400.
Hmm.
And from after that, I kind of got into running. I did a few half marathons and a full marathon, but I felt like I didn't like the way my body looked for all with all the running I was doing. I just thought I should be in better shape because I didn't know anything about lifting or,
Right.
you know, eating right or anything like that. So I got into CrossFit after I did the whole running thing for a while because I wanted to learn how to lift. And it was kind of my introduction into lifting.
Mhm.
And I did that for about 6 years. And then I decided to get into competing just because I was in my early 40s when I stopped CrossFit, and it takes a toll on your body, the movements.
Hmm. Yeah.
I had a lot of like knee pain, shoulder pain, stuff like that. So, and I didn't really like how my body was looking because I was getting that kind of like bulkier look from CrossFit. Like you kind
Mhm.
of get like the wider waist and the triceps. I mean, not the tricep, the traps and that kind of
Right.
thing. I wanted to I really liked the way bikini competitors looked.
Hmm.
So I thought I'd give it a try.
Yeah. Did you like were you aware of bodybuilding just through like just watching it, or did you know people that already have competed and that's how you were introduced to it?
I had no idea anything about bodybuilding. Actually, my husband, who knows nothing about it too, he's like, "Oh, why don't you try this? You probably would be good at it." So I randomly found my first coach on Instagram. I mean, I had no clue about anything.
Mhm.
I just found him, and he was an OCB coach, and that's the first show I did was
Mhm.
through OCB.
I just had a girl on that was a bikini OCB pro. Her episode's gonna drop on Friday. And
Okay.
what did you think? Well, did you compete in OCB first?
I only did just one show with them.
Mhm. How did you like that?
I liked it, but I felt like I wanted to give NPC a shot because again, I'm very competitive and I want to try to become an IFBB pro, and I like the whole idea of competing towards that. OCB,
Mhm.
I know they have pros too, but I just feel like NPC is a little bit more of another level.
Right, right.
And
Okay.
I do think my build is a bit muscular, so I thought I might be a better fit moving over to the NPC division.
Mhm. Well, I'm looking at some pictures. I don't know what and I'll put them up when this episode drops so the audience will see them. But I can definitely tell you've put on quite decent amount of size from the two pictures that are side by side.
Yeah,
And so like was that mainly like your goal is to put on size? What kind of feedback were you getting from the judges?
yeah, I definitely needed to put on size in I think different areas as far as like my shoulders and obviously glutes. Everybody in bikinis trying to get.
Everybody everywhere is trying to get more
Yeah.
glutes.
So my training compared to the OCB training is definitely a lot more intense and
Mhm.
a lot more focused on specific muscles, I think.
Are you more of a like a heavy lifter, like heavy weights? Are you more of a volume girl?
I definitely like to lift heavy. I think CrossFit kind of transitioned over. Probably
Hmm.
not always the best thing because sometimes I probably should go a little lighter, but I don't know. I like to lift heavy. That's just the way I am.
Well, hey, you can't deny that people that lift heavy tend to really grow well. I mean, it's just the way it goes. I mean, with my clients, I tend to like incorporate both. I'll incorporate volume and, heavy weight, but I never leave out like heavy weightlifting because I feel like that's the stimulus to the muscle growth. If you don't do that, if you only do volume, it's very difficult to grow.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's the only time I did start to grow is once I started increasing my
Mhm.
weights. I mean, if you stay at a certain weight and just keep lifting the same weight over and over, you're not going to see as much change unless you do, the progressive overload.
Sure, sure. So you come in fourth, at the nationals. What feedback did you get from the judges at that show, if any? Did you find out what
That was
they
my
were
first
looking for?
mistake. I did not stay for feedback, and I will never do that again. um, so my coach now actually reached out to got a hold of a judge and was able to get some feedback.
Hmm.
And it was pretty much what I think like everybody gets. I need
Hmm.
more upper glute, and I think that was about it.
Yeah.
But I know there was other things I needed to work on. My posing has always been a struggle, and I'm trying to work on that now
Hmm.
because I think that also hurts me a little bit.
Yeah.
Hopefully, when I get on stage again, that will be improved. We got to put some work in. So
It's amazing how like posing has really become such a big thing. I mean, it always was, should have been, or I guess should have been is the best way to put it. Should have been a major thing, but now you see coaches that are specifically only dealing with posing. So they're like only
right,
posing coaches. It's
right.
really exploded now.
Yes, I just feel like there's so much to it. It's so much harder than you think. Like the girls who are good at it, they make it look so easy, but
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of practice you really need to put in. Like they say, I think the more you practice, the better you're going to be. So it's at least my least favorite thing to do, but I need to make it a priority because
Yeah.
it's the only way to get better.
Yeah, it can be exhausting, right? Like posing, it can wear you out too. It's
Yes,
it's funny.
actually, it's exhausting and kind of painful.
Because you're constantly like contracting in those positions, and staying
Yeah.
like that. And
Mhm.
and especially in comparisons, depending on how long they want you out there, it can be even
Right.
even more so.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you look like, I mean, as like I said, as I'm looking through these pictures and I'll put them up, you look like you always come in what appears to be in great conditioning. Do you, is I know you said you have an issue binging after the show, so it doesn't seem like you have an issue during prep. Is that right? Do you
Oh,
do
I
you
mean,
tend to
I'm
come
pretty
in?
good at once I'm locked in, I'm locked in. It's
Hmm.
just it's the struggle afterwards for me. And with this one, I mean, I'm pretty new to do. I mean, I've only done 4 shows.
Hmm.
So what happened last year was I had planned to do multiple shows, and I've never really done multiple shows. I pretty much have done like one a year.
Yeah.
So after that one show, I really had a hard time reeling it in and be getting ready because I was supposed to do Masters Nationals, which was only about 2 or 3 weeks after that,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't get back in the game again. So I backed out of it,
Yeah.
and then I just decided, you know what, I need to address my issues with my relationship with food and the binging. It would be stupid and not smart to just hop into a show when I've got this going on. So
Right. And I think you definitely have the look and the condition to win major shows. And I think that especially with bikini, you can keep that look for quite some time and continue hitting shows. Like a lot of the girls in bikini that I talk to, they'll hit 3, 4 shows in a row. And you look like somebody like Ashley Caldwasser who just keeps doing show after show after show,
amazing.
without and does great, right? So it's like if you can stay within the striking distance, you can keep doing the shows. I think you're well within that, scope, as long as you can, deal with whatever your
Right.
concerns are post show. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely what I'm hoping to do this summer. I want to do a warm up show May or June, and then I'm looking to hopefully do Universe, Masters, Nationals, and North Americans. But that's a big if, you know. I mean, we'll have to see how everything goes and if I can handle it, but that's my goal.
So I assume the greater goal, well, I guess it would be this year, upcoming would be to win your pro card,
Of
correct?
course, like everyone, right?
Yeah, yeah. Does if you get your pro card, are you jumping into a pro show immediately, you think? Or are you gonna give it some time?
Honestly, I have no idea. I feel like I've thought about it quite a bit, and I would like to take some time off just to
Mhm.
kind of get, because I feel like I've been prepping for 3 years now. I haven't had any break really and going
Mhm.
back to like normal life, I guess you could say. And I wouldn't mind taking a little bit of a break and focusing on my family and friends and my job and stuff like that.
Sure.
So, but then again, I don't know. Maybe it would be make sense to jump in a show and see how I do. I kind
Mhm.
of play by ear and see how I feel, I think.
It's tough, right? Because bodybuilding is such a like all-inclusive sport. You know, it's
Yes.
a lot of times like in other sports, they'll do the sport, they'll go home, they'll spend time with family, whatever. But bodybuilding, because it involves your food, involves like everything that you do throughout the day, it's almost like it's always with you, no matter where you
Yeah.
are or what you do. Yeah.
Yeah. Because even the off season, it's really not off. I mean, you're
Right.
still on plan, you're still doing your workouts. It's, you're
Yeah.
still in a routine, which I love, but I just would like to have that, you know, I'd like to have a little bit of what's the word?
Relaxation.
Yeah, just a little bit of a break.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think sometimes it can also do you wonders too to have a break because I think sometimes when people don't have a break, their bodies tend to suffer. So if you can take a break, relax, get some R&R, get some relaxation, and then come back, I think you'll be better. And that's
Yeah.
you don't want to wear yourself down because that grind will eventually just it'll show in your physique too.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that like bodybuilding is one of those sports that you definitely need to have like a strategy. It's really hard to just kind of just do things, just do it but fly by the seat of your pants because it's you need to be strategic. And I mean, you've got the right idea. It's like you want to make sure that you know like what you want to do. If you want to take a break your body is going to, benefit from it. You know better than someone else. Like no one can tell you, oh, well, you don't need to take a break or you need to take a break. That's something that you internally will know about yourself.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think it's not just like the physical part of it, it's the emotional part of it too. I
Sure.
just think there's just a lot that goes into it. And sometimes you need to take a step back
Hmm.
and kind of reevaluate what your goals are and what you want to do. So
Yeah.
I'm I'm just gonna see at where I'm at. If I'm lucky enough to get my pro card, I'll probably just take a step back and see what would be
Right.
me to do.
Sure. Did you getting fourth, is that something that you expected or did you expect to do better? Like how did you have an idea of where you would place?
Um, I thought I would place in like the top five. Yeah.
Hmm.
But it's so hard to tell. I was hoping I would place in the top three. My coach thought I would, but you never know who's going to show up. And it's kind of, you just have to go in and go, worry about yourself and how you do and how you look on stage and how you look compared to the last time you stepped on stage. So I try to just focus on that because at the end of the day, you really don't know. You could go out there looking the best, your best you ever have, and still not place just because somebody looks better.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I mean it's tough to know. Do you tend to pay attention who's coming to the show, who you're competing against, or you just strictly focus on yourself?
Well, that, yes. The last show, I think I got a little too wrapped up in worrying about how everybody else looked. and I kind of learned my lesson because it kind of stressed me out too much. Um, this time around, I'm really not paying attention to anyone.
Hmm.
I'm kind of looking straight ahead, focusing on myself and what I need to do to be better than I was last year. And that's it. Because I think if you worry too much about how everybody else is doing, it's going to affect how you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think social media sometimes is like a double-edged sword, right? On one hand, it's beneficial for a lot of things, but then on the other hand, it really can hurt you in many ways. Like that's one of them. It's just watching everybody else,
Right. Because you
prepping.
compare yourself to the other competitors and, oh, do I look good enough to beat her and this and that? And it just, you can't sit there and worry about that because then you're going to be too busy worrying about them and not worrying about how you're doing.
Sure, sure. And also, I mean, let's be honest, the pictures that people put on Instagram are the best pictures that they could possibly put.
Exactly.
Obviously, right? Everybody does that because
Uh-huh.
you wouldn't put a picture that's not flattering on there.
Right.
And so like you're comparing yourself to really an image that's probably not going to be the what you're going to be dealing with on stage. So everybody looks different from their pictures usually, on stage. So
Yes.
it's yeah, it's a tricky thing.
Hmm.
What do you think about just bikini in general as far as like the IFBB is concerned? You think it's going the right direction? I know for a while people were saying this was a couple of years ago, people were saying that the girls were getting a little too big. Now I feel like they've brought them down, but what is your opinion on that? Do you think it's going the right way?
Um, I actually like the look. I
Hmm.
like more of a muscular look, so I'm okay with where it's at right now. And
Hmm.
I think now that they've added that new division, the fit model, it gives
Hmm.
girls the option to compete that don't want to either get that big or have the ability to get that big. But I think I do like the standard where it's at right now. I don't think it's too big, at least for me.
That you brought this model division up has been something
Yeah.
that's it's kind of on everybody's mind.
Mhm.
I assume that you're probably in favor the way you're talking about it. So are you in favor of new divisions being added?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it at all. I think it's a good thing. Obviously, it helps the NPC,
Hmm.
and I do like to see other girls. I like to see girls be able to have the option to do it because at the end of the day, there's some people just can't get to the level that's needed to become a pro.
Hmm.
So if you or they prefer not to get that big because I know a lot of girls have said that they don't want to look like the bikini physique
Right,
anymore. It's
right.
gotten too muscular. So now they have this, so they have the option to still compete and
Yeah.
still do all the things, but in that division. So
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to become like a feeder division where like you have like feeder divisions for the NHL and like other sports. The reason I'm saying that is because I don't know if you had this experience or you've met people that have this experience, but once you get into it, you might initially think, "Oh, well, I don't want to get this big." But then as you start training and as you start putting on muscle and as you start seeing yourself get more muscular, your physique changing and looking better, you you start adjusting your parameters on, what you want to look like. And so I wonder if some of these girls are going to start out there and then eventually decide to move up.
I think that's definitely what's going to happen because I think most of the girls who are interested in it are first time competitors who were probably afraid before to try it because they didn't think they could get big enough to compete as a bikini competitor, but now they could start in fit model and build up to it because the size of bikini competitors now, it's not something you can build in like 6 months. It's more
No.
at least one at least 1 year if you have good genetics, but
Right.
it could be up to you know three
Yeah.
three or even more years to get like an IFBB pro body or be a pro.
Sure. I mean, even the girls like you yourself and some of the girls that I'm seeing that you competed with at the nationals. I mean, that's a look that takes a lot of work. It's not gonna be something that you're just gonna fall into. And so and anyone that looks at that look is gonna know, okay, well, that's a hard, like that's someone who worked hard for that look. That's not something easy to attain. So for sure, the divisions are they're carrying that kind of composition where like people will need to work for some time to get to that level. You're not just gonna walk in and have that. So
Right, exactly.
yeah. For sure. So you're planning on to compete several times next year, correct? You said you're
This
gonna
summer,
do it.
yeah, I'm
Oh, this
hoping.
summer. Yeah.
Yep,
Sorry.
that's
I keep saying next year because I'm still stuck in 2024. I'm like, I got to get in 25, you know.
right. Yeah, well, we're just into it, so.
That's funny. So how is your eating, well, like nutrition when you are like in this time period where you're not competing? I guess we can call it off season, but we both know it's not really
I'm
off.
pretty much officially started prep now, but I'm still eating very like really good. I'm just under 2,000 calories a day, so I can't really
Hmm.
complain. I'm still able to have a free meal once a week, so things are good. Um,
What when you do your free meal, like what's your favorite meal to eat, if you
I
don't mind?
usually, my go-to is a burger and
A
fries.
burger. That's not
Yeah,
even like to me, that's not even a like a cheat meal. That's protein,
it's
carbs,
right.
that's
Yeah. No, I don't know. I just feel like the burger and fries doesn't seem to affect me too much, and
Mhm.
I have no digestion issues with it, so it's a good one.
Gotcha. Do you take any supplements to help with your digestion, or you just do it all through diet?
Right now I take my usual supplements, but I do take enzymes before every meal, or I try to. It's
Hmm.
hard to
Hmm.
remember sometimes.
Yeah.
But, and I also take a pretty good probiotic before bed. And I do the apple cider vinegar. I drink aloe vera. Um, I think that's pretty much it when it comes to my gut health. But
Hmm.
that's where I'm at right now. I don't know if I'm going to continue doing all that, but I'm still trying to make sure everything's good. It's
Yeah.
kind of, it's only been, I think things were pretty much cleared up for the most part the beginning of last month. So it hasn't
Hmm.
been that long. So I'm still trying to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel like if it's working,
Yeah.
stick
So
with it.
I'll
It's,
stick with what works.
yeah, you definitely don't want to go backwards. That's for sure.
No.
Oh man. So let me ask you this too. When you train, like what's your favorite exercise? Do you have like a favorite weightlifting exercise that you love to do?
Um, I do like doing upper body probably more now than ever because I'm doing so much lower body. My coach has me doing an awful lot of glutes and leg
Hmm.
days right now, but so I would say I enjoy upper body more, and I think I like shoulder press.
Hmm.
Pretty basic,
What's your
but
what's your what's your split look like now?
as far as
It's
what,
like a week, like what kind of
um, it's pretty much leg day almost every day. I get one upper body day,
I
and I
got
work
you.
out 5 days a week.
Yeah. Have you ever thought of possibly moving into a different division, like figure or anything like that, or would you just stick with bikini, you think?
I would like to stay in bikini. I don't see myself wanting to get any bigger, and I feel like there's a lot more you'd have to do to get to that size that I wouldn't be willing to do. So
Hmm.
I'm pretty happy with where I'm at now. And like I said, I really do like the look of bikini. So
Sure, sure. I was talking to a girl just recently. Her podcast already dropped last week, and we were discussing like bodybuilding drugs, and
yeah,
she was in wellness, and I'm always kind of interested in like what women take. I know what men take, but it's always interesting to me. And she was saying that in wellness and even in bikini, there's there's girls that are running like some major, cycles. Is that something that you've like seen in the division, or would you say like that the bikini girls aren't taking as much as you would think?
I do think a lot of girls, at least at the national levels, are
Hmm.
taking PEDs, but I don't think it's always necessary. I think once you become a pro, though, it seems apparent that you have to be on them, even in bikini, to be competitive.
Hmm.
With
So
that, if to move up a division, I assume you have to. It's even more so, obviously.
right. So you would say that like probably to get to the pro card, you don't necessarily need them, but
No,
but,
I wouldn't. I think there's plenty of girls who've gotten it naturally,
mhm.
but obviously it's harder because I don't know. The girls seem to be getting better and better every year, so
Yeah.
the competition is tough. But I think it's more once you're a pro. I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts as well, a lot of the big
Mhm.
ones, and pretty much all the big coaches say the same thing. If you want to compete in the pro level, you have to accept the fact that you're probably going to have to take
Yeah.
something,
Yeah. Yeah.
to be competitive.
Yeah, and I think nowadays, of course, like when I was younger, this was not talked about, especially not talked about openly. Now, I think it's talked about quite openly. There's, like you
Yeah,
said, there's podcasts. I mean, people just tell their cycles, and there's no problem, and they're not. There's no issue with it. I think it is a little bit of a double-edged sword too, again, with this because on one hand, it's nice to be upfront and know this is how things are. On the other hand, you have young people getting into these sports and knowing this information early on. And so like they possibly could start doing these things at much younger ages. You know, um,
right.
it's kind of tricky. Like what do you think?
Well, as far as the peds are concerned, I think the problem is a lot of girls come into this thinking they want to compete and be competitive right away.
Hmm.
So they look towards taking stuff to get bigger faster, and
Yeah.
it's not really the best option and obviously isn't good for you. Um, Whether you take them or not, you really have to take the time to build. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. And I don't think starting out taking stuff is the right way to go. I don't know. That's why I think this new division fit model is also good because you don't have, I mean, it's an option if you don't want to take them too,
Hmm.
to, to start out.
Yeah, to your point, like and we're pretty much similar ages, I assume. We're when we were younger, like people would develop a base, and then if they decided to make that choice later after they've developed the base and topped out their physique, they would do
Right.
that. Or not now, you have I know guys that, are just walking in the gym and starting on,
Yeah.
PEDs. And I just feel
Crazy.
that it's such a shame because you haven't even done anything with your own, natural gifts yet,
Mhm,
to even
exactly.
decide to go up like that. But
Yeah.
it's sad. Yeah, it's sad in in a certain way. It can be sad. But again, I do like the fact that at least it's not one of those things where it's like behind a cloaked, situation where you don't know what's going on, who's taking what, what's happening. And so nowadays people are even getting called out for if they say that they're natural and everyone can tell that they're not.
Right.
There's people that are actually like their whole Instagram or their whole YouTube page is based on putting them out there like that. So it's
Right. No, I know. It's crazy, but it's
it's a
become
it's a
more than
it's a
it was.
wild, wild west that we live in.
Yes.
Well, Kara, I'm so glad that we were able to get together. I love talking to you. I know it's a little bit late, so I appreciate you taking the time and the energy to do this.
You know?
Of
Yeah, this
course.
is great.
Yeah, I'd love to have you on in the future. But if somebody wanted to get you on another podcast or wanted to reach out to you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
And probably the best way would be on Instagram. My screen name is KDFit underscore over 40.
Okay, awesome. And I'll link everything at the bottom so it'll be easier for you. And Kara, again, thank you so much. You take care. Have a good evening.
Thanks, you too.
All right, bye bye.
Bye bye.